What's up, y'all? It's your girl CJ. Welcome back to another Storytime Sunday. This one is a little bit longer, but it is going to talk about the Sade Robinson case. I got my drink ready. Let's just get into it.
Investigation underway following a gruesome discovery.
It's shocking. I've never covered anything like this before.
No human deserves this.
We're finding body parts everywhere.
Before we knew anything, people immediately started shouting, "Serial killer."
It's scary that, you go on a first date with somebody and this is what you have to worry about.
It's the worst feeling a mother could ever have.
Milwaukee is known for being this beautiful city on the shores of Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan is a jewel for Milwaukee. It's something we all have a lot of pride in. If you go to the beach any day in the summer, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people having a good time.
It's a really popular spot for people to spend time.
The downtown went through some bad spells, but in the last 10, 15 years, we've had a resurgence. There's a lot of new restaurants, bars, and it's full of life and vibrancy.
Milwaukee is also known, though, for some serious systemic issues.
We're one of the most, if not the most, racially segregated city in the entire country, and we're one of the most bifurcated in terms of income. Closer to the lake, we have people of very high income, professional class people. And then as you go west of the interstate, you have more working class people.
There are pockets of poverty, abandoned buildings. There's high crime that often occurs in the most historically disadvantaged parts of the city.
It's really the tale of two cities.
April 2nd was a busy day in the newsroom. It was the presidential primary. There was also the Milwaukee Brewers home opener. And at the same time, we were bracing for the possibility of severe weather.
Election day in the rain and snow.
I'm thrilled to be back in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is under a microscope because of its position as being one of the few swing states in the nation. It was about every major news story that you could have happening in one day, or so we thought. The news day took a turn. Halfway through the day or so, we get a note from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office.
Some breaking news tonight and an investigation underway after a bizarre discovery.
A park goer had spotted a severed human leg in a park along the southern shore of Lake Michigan in Milwaukee County.
Right over my shoulder is the access to Lake Michigan, which was blocked up until now. So here's what we know. The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office says the leg was found in or near the water today at the park. It was east of the golf course by the pump house. A 12 News camera captured detectives looking near the shore in that area.
Warnemont Park is in Cudahy. It's a working class, blue collar suburb south of the city of Milwaukee, not associated with crime in any way.
Warnemont Park is a very popular spot. People jogging, people walking their dog, bike riding. It's one of those spots that has these dramatic cliffs.
At the bottom of Warnemont Park's steep cliff, in or near Lake Michigan's roaring waters, investigators say a park goer spotted a bizarre sight, a severed leg.
This story is much more intense than what I typically cover on a day-to-day basis. Working in Milwaukee, you learn to expect the unexpected, but that was still something that you don't see every day.
Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office immediately determining the leg belonged to a human. But who?
Yeah, I definitely have thoughts about like their family and stuff, like, oh, I wonder who it is. Could it be somebody we've known in the past? How is their family doing? I know they're gonna want answers.
The discovery prompting countless questions from those like Nathan Mendoza, the South Milwaukee resident visiting the nearby park Wednesday.
A lot of questions tonight.
shocking to hear that there's a body part anywhere. Was this an accident? Had wild animals or something torn apart a cadaver that was there for natural causes?
Your mind immediately goes to, who does it belong to? That doesn't sound like something that's an accident. Something very serious has happened. When news of the severed leg discovery started to spread, immediately the community was worried for their safety. If the person that committed the crime was still out there, it's something that in a city that remembers Jeffrey Dahmer all too well really gets people's attention and gets them scared.
It's not something people want to talk about, but it's certainly in our historical memory.
The images are seared on Milwaukee's psyche.
Police found a grisly scene, a human head apparently preserved.
Jeffrey Dahmer, serial killer, cannibal.
I forgot that happened in Milwaukee.
17 victims in 13 years.
Jeffrey, I hate you!
So in the late 1980s, unfortunately, Milwaukee was the hunting ground for Jeffrey Dahmer, who's one of America's most notorious serial killers. He dismembered his victims, kept parts of them, actually consumed parts of them as a cannibal. And that drew a lot of very negative attention to the city. There was an echo of that terrible history of Milwaukee. And I think that's really one of the things that made this case stand out for people early on.
Immediately, people started shouting, serial killer. On Milwaukee's north side, April 2nd, around 7:30 in the morning, a woman that lives in the area of 30th and Lisbon is just getting ready for her day and then looks out her back window and sees a car erupt into flames.
It was catching on fire, and all of a sudden it's getting bigger, so I called the fire department, and they then you can hear the alarm going off in the car, the airbags exploding.
It didn't look like an accident. People use that area for illegal dumping, so it wasn't too much of a stretch to think that someone was trying to dump this car here.
It looks like somebody had started it. Nothing else was smoking outside the car, so it started in the inside.
The car was heavily burnt. It was a 2020 Honda Civic. Immediately, investigators thought that this was suspicious. There were parts of the car that you could still recover items that were inside and get clues about who the car belonged to. The car belonged to a 19-year-old Milwaukee woman named Sade Robinson. She didn't show up to work on April 2nd.
Robinson's co-workers at Pizza Shuttle on the east side say they called police for a welfare check. Police didn't find Robinson, but detectives did find her car burned near 30th and Lisbon.
Immediately, her co-workers knew that something was wrong. She wasn't the type of person to just not show up to work without letting anyone know.
Milwaukee police say 19-year-old Sade Carlina Robinson vanished Monday. That's also the day her mother, Sheena Scarborough, last heard from her.
I am Sheena Scarborough, the mother of Sade Robinson.
She is.
A lot of people.
She is gorgeous. Oh my goodness.
Were attracted to her. She was a very beautiful young lady. Early 2024, Sade had been working so hard, working her 2 jobs, so close to graduating, and she was about to receive her Associate of Arts degree. She also was dedicated to wanting to join the military and the Air Force. We are a military family.
She has been known to be a go-getter, a very magnetic personality. She's a hard worker. She had her own apartment.
Wow.
Her coworkers say she was great with the regular customers.
So I was planning on doing something big with her the summer of 2024 after her graduation to celebrate. We were planning to go to Hawaii, and this was just the beginning of her life.
Wow.
March 31st, And then here it is, a detective at my door notifying me that my daughter's car has been burned. Are you freaking kidding me? What is her car doing? Where is she at?
Wow.
When you're talking to someone who has a missing loved one, obviously your hope is that they're going to be found safe and reunited with their family. When Sheena told me that her car was found burned in this area of town that's known for dumping, it was hard not to immediately think that something had gone terribly wrong.
I turn on the news and then I see my daughter at the top. She's missing. Like, what the heck is going on?
The 19-year-old woman disappeared on Monday.
So in the 2020s, digital evidence is everything. We can track people throughout their day.
Sade's friends knew pretty quickly how serious the situation was and how important a digital trail could become. It helped prosecutors uncover what they believe happened that night.
Sade Robinson had an app specifically for her safety called Life 360.
Like lots of other young women think about and making sure that they're staying safe, making sure other people know where they are at any given time. Sade was just like that. She had Life 360 and shared her location information with one of her friends and with her mother.
Still hadn't heard from her. And I remember asking the other family members, I'm just thinking Sade had a busy day. She worked both her jobs.
The Life 360 app showed that April 1st in the evening, she went to a popular seafood restaurant in the city. It shows that she went to a bar later that night, and it shows that she went to a home on Milwaukee's south side. From there, the phone leaves the home at about 12:45 in the morning, and the phone takes a trip around the city.
Her friends log into the app Life 360 and see that she was traveling around in the middle of the night. They must have been terrified for their friend without any explanation, without her making contact with them.
Everybody in the 360 app on a circle, it's just like something was off.
I asked Sheena if she knows where Sade could be or what she knows about if anyone would want to hurt her. And Sheena says she doesn't know anything while the cameras are rolling. She's sitting on the couch and I'm kneeling in front of her, helping her take the microphone off. She's emotional, so at this point, I'm also kind of holding her hands, and we cut the cameras. And one of the first things that she says to me is, you know, I didn't want to say this while the cameras are rolling. And my stomach immediately dropped.
Milwaukee police say 19-year-old Sade Carlina Robinson vanished Monday.
I started having this feeling. It's a feeling I can't describe as a mother. You just have this heavy feeling, and I just remember reaching out and starting to ask everybody, have you heard from Sade?
What did she say to the interviewer? Sorry, I'm impatient. We're probably gonna find out, but let me relax.
Milwaukee police did do a welfare check at Robinson's apartment April 3rd. In her apartment, they found her wallet and purse. That's when we, the media, get a critical missing alert for Sade Robinson.
It's a critical missing person report, and that's basically if someone is an elder, a child, a veteran, they get a special designation. They also get a designation if someone believes that the person who is missing is in danger.
If you know something, please say something.
Police have not connected Robinson's missing persons case to the body part found, but friends and family are fearing the worst.
Well, you have to prepare for the worst and pray for the best. And worst case scenario, Sade's not with us no more.
Sade's friends and family, as soon as they learned of her disappearance, put out a call to the community to organize these search parties to help find her. It activated the community a lot. Strangers came out to help search.
I'm so desperate. I'm trying to find my baby.
And then they found human remains.
Milwaukee police swarming 31st and Walnut after someone found a human body part in the park.
This little park a block away from where her car was found burned. A detective found a human foot near some train tracks.
She was dismembered, bro.
We were there when family found a blanket belonging to Sade.
We need y'all's support to help and find more evidence. Thanks to these people out here, we found a little bit more evidence, but we still don't know everything.
There was this sentiment from her family and friends that perhaps law enforcement wasn't looking hard enough.
We had to do what we had to do. The community had to step up with searching for her. They were a big part in finding a lot of her remains.
Unfortunately, these situations get overlooked, and hopefully this brings greater visibility and we find out more answers.
I think until we find out what we need to find out, we just come out and you just keep pushing forward, and we let the experts come and decide, determine what they know, and we're just the eyes and the ears on the ground.
Investigators found body parts. Family members say they were finding evidence and body parts.
Someone on their morning walk along the shore found a torso and an arm.
The public's looking at this thinking this is our worst nightmare.
We had body parts around the city. We had a missing 19-year-old, and then we had a burned car, but we hadn't even had that formally linked by law enforcement at this point. Like everyone else in the city, we were fearing the worst. I sat down with Sheena when Sade was first reported missing. We cut the cameras, and one of the first things that she says to me is, I didn't want to say this while the cameras were rolling, but my daughter's phone last pinged in Cudahy, in the area of Warnemont Park.
It's not a place that we just went to go visit normally. That's really not our part of town.
My stomach immediately dropped. Knowing what we knew, that's where the severed leg was found.
I knew something had happened to my baby. I knew she was gone.
Mother's intuition.
It's the worst feeling a mother could ever have.
What do you think happened to her?
Somebody harmed or hurt my daughter.
Investigators swarm the area. They're going up and down the bluff the best they can, obviously canvassing and looking for something.
In this day and age, there's a surveillance camera basically everywhere, and Milwaukee is no different. So after the recovery of the leg in Warnemont Park, they did what is typical. Are there any surveillance cameras in the area? Let's canvass those and let's see what it depicts. And in this case, they got lucky.
Investigators were eventually able to get a hold of some surveillance footage from in Warnemont Park.
There was a depiction of a car and a figure going down the hill into the area where the leg was discovered. It creates a part of the timeline of when that leg was placed in Warnemont Park.
April 2nd at about 3 in the morning, a vehicle, it drives through the frame. They're also able to find on surveillance footage video of a figure going up and down the bluff. It appears the figure made multiple trips up and down the bluff
So an investigator trying to recreate who a missing person was with will look at their cell phone text messages. Who was contacting this person? Were they making any plans?
Police find a text conversation that Sade had with someone in the evening of April 1st. It sounds like she's getting ready to go on a date.
That's a huge part of this case. It shows the context of this meeting. Why was this woman?
I got goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. This girl was 19, guys, 19. She had her whole life ahead of her. This world is insane.
With this man, this stranger, that night.
Where are we meeting? I can do 5. Downtown somewhere? Okay.
As she was getting ready for work, I just remember her being so beautiful. And I remember reminding her in that conversation, after you get off work, just go home and get some rest. She didn't mention anything to me about going on a date later on that evening.
As Sade was leaving her apartment, she told her apartment secretary that she was excited to go on this first date, but nobody knew who she was with that night.
It's scary that, you go on a first date with somebody and this is what you have to worry about.
We also know that this person sent a text message April 2nd to her phone at around 10 o'clock in the morning asking her how her day was going. It can be taken 2 ways. Either this person didn't know that she was deceased, or he had a consciousness of guilt and was trying to cover up what he had done. The investigator is going to try to recreate who the missing person was interacting with just prior to their disappearance. And obviously in this case, he may be a suspect in her disappearance. In modern prosecutions, text messages, cell phone data, historical cell tower data are huge. We know that Sade Robinson had an app called Life 360, which was specifically put on her phone for her own safety to track her movements. And ironically, in this case, it may be the thing that breaks apart any defense.
Police were able to link that text conversation phone number to Maxwell Anderson. Maxwell Anderson is in his early 30s.
We don't know a lot about Mr. Anderson. He worked in bars prior to meeting Sade Robinson.
He also does have...
I don't know if this is the guy that has any involvement in her death, but you know damn well a man in his 30s dealing with a woman that's not even 20 yet. She's still in her teens, her late teens. Granted, it is legal, but anybody with that big of an age gap, this is how I feel. If an older man or an older woman goes after somebody younger than them, they're basically preying on them. They can't find anybody else in their age group because the people around them, their peers, sees the bum in them or sees the crazy in them or just knows that they're not good people. Anytime you see, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like cute little love stories and there's like a 20-year age gap, but it's just, I don't think that it's real to me. Older men with younger women, typically half the time it has to do with financial gain for the woman, like she's treated as a sugar baby, or vice versa, an older woman trying to mold a younger man in his late teens, early 20s. They want to mold them into the person that they want. It's like going into a Build-A-Bear workshop and creating your own teddy bear, what you want, what you want it to look like, act like, sound like, all these things. It's scary. It's scary. It's very much, to me, it gives predator behavior.
History.
Anderson has a long track record of antisocial and sometimes violent history that involved law enforcement. He's gotten into numerous physical altercations, some with his own family members.
We at one point did hear from law enforcement that one of their theories is that Sade met Maxwell at one of the places
At a bar.
he worked at while he was bartending. Her family themselves, they're still confused a little bit about how the two connected.
They weren't dating per se, they were meeting for a first date. The text messages that we see already presumes the date will happen that night.
While searching for any evidence that these two were together on the evening of April 1st, police were able to find some surveillance footage from the Twisted Fisherman. It shows Maxwell Anderson and Sade Robinson walk into the restaurant. It shows them sit down and eat together. Surveillance footage also shows them leave. Both of them get into Sade's car, and then they head to another bar, Duke's on Water. Investigators on April 4th pull Maxwell Anderson over just a few blocks away from his home. They're able to arrest him there.
So it's pretty clear that they focused very quickly on Maxwell Anderson. They weren't going to let Maxwell Anderson be out in the community. There's always the concern that he'll destroy evidence, that he could flee the jurisdiction or harm somebody else.
Yeah.
So they swooped in pretty quickly before their case was fully developed.
It was a big law enforcement presence at Maxwell Anderson's home on 39th and Oklahoma. The Life 360 app showed that Sade went to a home on Milwaukee's south side in the area of 39th and Oklahoma.
A newly unsealed search warrant shows Sade Robinson's phone was at Maxwell Anderson's house the night she was last seen, between April 1st and 2nd.
Inside, investigators find evidence that just gave us more questions, really, about who this guy is.
Prosecutors say they found blood evidence in his home and are waiting on DNA testing.
Investigators find blood on a mattress inside the home. They find blood on the wall leading to the basement.
In the interest of Maxwell Stephen Anderson.
And what we saw in the court process was really unusual. They had to ask for extensions of that initial arrest past 48 hours to create a better investigative record and to create probable cause to keep him in custody. There was definitely a sense of urgency.
The probable cause statement talks about blood from the comforter and the stairwell of the defendant's residence. There's been additional blood found in the residence. If the state wants to issue charges, Mr. Anderson has counsel, his family's here, he has strong ties to the community, he works full-time.
State law requires people are charged in a timely manner or be released. Anderson's attorney, Anthony Cotton, argued his client should be free.
I can't imagine being like a lawyer to somebody who you know did it. You're getting paid to side with a fucking monster. I wouldn't care about like my quota or anything as a lawyer or an attorney. I would be like, Judge, he did it. He fucking did it. Listen, I know he admitted to me he did it, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to pick apart reasons why he probably didn't, but he did it. Your Honor, arrest him immediately too.
We were able to get a hold of a woman over the phone that said she had gone on a date with Maxwell Anderson. She said he seemed like the kind of guy that was always starting construction projects but not finishing them.
So I got a little bit of a tour, and he was like, do you want to see the basement? And I was like, no, I'm okay. He's like, it's creepy down there. And I was like, no, that's okay.
She recalled going back to his home and seeing a giant hole in his backyard. She said it wasn't clear what that hole was there for. To this day, we don't know what the hole was there for, but we did fly News Chopper 12 over the scene and saw the hole ourselves. And investigators also haven't said anything about the hole or his backyard.
Investigators also not detailing where the homicide occurred, a possible motive, a weapon, or what they found when they searched his home, other than blood in a bedroom and blood on the walls leading to the basement. we are 9 days since this woman went missing, 8 days since the leg discovery. We haven't heard anything. Your reaction to that?
I think that it's where it should be. And if you notice, there's almost like a media blackout. There are no interviews, there are no this, and that's how it should be. You want to be pristine in your investigation to make sure that you dot every I and cross every T. The more important it is, the slower you go.
The Anderson case has really captured the attention of the Milwaukee community. You can't.
I like that. The more important it is, the slower you go. I like that. That is related to a lot of things in life.
Turn on the TV without seeing something about this particular case. I'm a criminal defense lawyer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so I have no relationship to either of the parties in this case. After the police execute a search warrant, they have to do a list of items that they took from the place that was searched. We have a list of things from that initial search warrant of Anderson's home: swabs of stains in the bathtub, ammunition, a large black axe, female jewelry, a custom knife, a gun box with ammunition, a blue notebook with multiple female names and information, a Wisconsin ID card for a woman not involved in the case, women's clothing hidden between a basement support beam and the foundation of the house. I think as a criminal defense attorney, there are some items that I would say are not relevant for a trial. Other women's clothing, their ID card, that type of thing. Frankly, it may be too prejudicial to bring in front of the jury, because unless they're alleging someone else was victimized, I don't think those are relevant. I'm sure the defense will try to exclude some of those items.
What's confusing and troubling is that early testing shows that the blood they found there was not Sade's.
I think it's unusual to find blood in a home. So there has to be some type of explanation for how that blood got there and whose it is.
In cases like this, you kind of expect the unexpected, but this was wholly unexpected.
There have been more than a dozen search warrants in this case, including one just unsealed, and for the first time shedding new light on the investigation. It says a confidential informant, or CI, told investigators they were inside Anderson's basement in early March.
The confidential informant told a detective that he'd been friends with Anderson for 2 to 3 years, and they recalled a visit to Anderson's home back in early March. So this is weeks before Sade's disappearance.
The CI described a room in the basement with a sanitation sink and tarps taped to the floor and the ceiling, covering the walls and the floor.
Perhaps most shocking, the confidential informant tells detectives that Anderson allegedly confessed this plan to kill and dismember Sade Robinson.
It all indicates a pattern of behavior by Maxwell Anderson that is vile, heinous, evil, that must be furtherly investigated.
Confidential informants should always be treated very carefully. Unfortunately, there is a lot of incentive for someone to tell the police something that's not true. If you believe the confidential informant, you would have to believe that this person who had a deliberate plan to commit a gruesome homicide showed the informant his layer of murder in his own house for this premeditated, terrible event.
Why didn't the CI come forward with this information back in early March before any of this happened? And would it have made any difference? By April 12th, everyone was asking if Sade Robinson was connected to the severed leg. 10 days out, we still had no official confirmation.
It is a freaking nightmare, the waiting process.
It really is.
We finally get the notification from law enforcement that there is going to be a press conference about the severed leg investigation. And every reporter in the room has the same question that the community's been asking for days at this point.
The severed leg has been preliminarily identified as belonging to Ms. Robinson. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Robinson family, friends, and the Milwaukee community who have embraced this family.
Wow. As a parent, you want to obviously outlive your children. That's the natural process of life. So this poor mother and this poor family have to grieve the fact that their daughter is deceased. Not only is she deceased, she was chopped up and had her body parts planted like she was garbage, like she didn't even matter. Like, what the fuck? I can't imagine. I have no words for this case. This is actually insane, and it's a little too close to home because this just happened a year ago. And I had no idea. This is insane.
I would do something so tragic to harm my baby. Did nothing but help others. Was such an angel who would do something so brutal and disgusting.
We also learn that Maxwell Anderson is charged. He's charged with...
Look at his fucking smug on that face. Like he's pleased with himself. That is fucking disgusting. Ew, get him off my screen.
And dismembering Sade Robinson, and charged with burning her car.
First-degree intentional homicide is the highest level of homicide that we have in the state of Wisconsin. And so they're going to have to stack up all of this circumstantial evidence and prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that Anderson not only killed Robinson, but he did it intentionally.
Yeah, and was trying to hide evidence. That's illegal.
The informant actually came forward to detectives after news of that press conference hit the airwaves.
The informant's comments in this case gave me a lot of concern about their veracity. He is talking in
They could hit him with so many charges just off of those two things alone, like foul play. Like this man is collecting her dismembered body parts and placing them around the area. Like, what? This man should never, ever see the light of day again. He needs to rot in prison. I don't even want him to have a death sentence. Actually, I take that back. He deserves to die, but because he'll probably still live a decent life in fucking prison. I'm not gonna lie, but man, just fucking him immediately.
Great detail about Anderson having a plan, not just to kill someone, but to kill Robinson specifically. It would be very rare for someone to brag about their terrible plan to commit a gruesome homicide in their basement.
Sheena, Sade's mother, is convinced.
And who was the informant? Was the informant another girl that he went out on a date with? I honestly misinterpreted that part.
Anderson is the one that did it. The family is still raw and grieving.
The sick son of a
right
hurt my baby. The sick son of a gonna pay. This is justice for Sade.
Justice for Sade! Justice for Sade!
When all of this first hit happened, it was so traumatic,
right,
fast-paced. I'm in shock. The first memorial for my baby was the community did a pink out.
Sade is me. She's all of us. She's every little girl that wanted to be loved.
A flood of pink.
Pink tape wrapped around trees, pink balloons filled the front porch, and pink spray paint spelled out justice for Sade.
This is a waking nightmare. I couldn't literally move or do anything. And then I'm just looking at the news and I'm seeing like, oh my gosh, they did pink outs. And I mean, people are just showing up and going so strong and hard for my baby.
What do you want the message to be?
That she was loved.
Community members like Dee Dee Davis and Nicole Green say they didn't know Robinson, but that didn't matter.
If it happens to somebody else's child, it might as well have happened to mine.
Our number one priority is getting Sade's justice. But at the same time, Sade is speaking to me and she wants us to be able to help others and be able to tell their stories as well. This is very important that the awareness and attention of the numbers with the rates of why it's more primarily Black women.
A Columbia University study found that Black women were 20 times more likely to be murdered in Wisconsin than white women.
Scarborough joining state lawmakers LaTanya Johnson and Sheila Stubbs in calling for a statewide task force on missing and murdered African American women and girls.
What is the commonality in these cases that's the actual cause for making them so vulnerable? Finding that out, it's gonna work wonders in making sure that we can actually safeguard and protect their lives.
Friends and family say that they're working on starting a nonprofit called Sade's Voice to support the families of missing Black women and children.
Sade's Voice Foundation is a nonprofit that advocates for other missing and murdered individuals in the community. Our focus is to be the voice and carry on her light and advocate for others.
We need to just be out here and support the family with peace, kindness, and compassion, and let the Lord do the revenge.
Calling State of Wisconsin versus Maxwell Anderson.
Maxwell Anderson has a phenomenal defense team led by Tony Cotton. He's handled a number of notable cases in recent history, including the Slender Man case.
Hannah, the defense asked for a delay in this case.
Well, Deanna, the relatively last-minute request made here at the courthouse earlier this afternoon.
The Slender Man case. Guys, I think we found our next video. Hold on, I gotta see what that's about.
Afternoon was pretty simple. The defense wanted to allow more time for one expert to review Maxwell Anderson's phone activity from the night of Sade Robinson's death.
Right.
In Wisconsin, if you want to pursue an alibi defense, you have to give the state notice.
Criminal defense attorney Tony Cotton told the court his forensics expert discovered a potential alibi for the suspect.
Investigators find surveillance footage from Maxwell Anderson's neighborhood. It's dark, so from what investigators can tell, they see Sade's car pull up to Anderson's home at about 9:30 on April 1st. Two figures walk through Maxwell Anderson's backyard, and a light turns on inside his home.
The biggest hurdle in this case is the opaqueness of what happened in the house after the defendant and the victim got there.
Surveillance footage also shows at about 11:45, shows some movement in the backyard. Footage from the neighborhood shows Sade Robinson's car leave Maxwell Anderson's home at about 12:45 in the morning.
If I were the defense attorney, I would be making a big play here to say, you don't have any evidence of what happened in the home. Was it some type of medical condition that she had? Were they up to something that went the wrong way? And did Anderson respond in a way that was inappropriate? What happened in those 2 hours at Anderson's home is really important for the state to prove if they want to achieve a conviction for first-degree intentional homicide.
A witness says he saw a figure walking away from the car on fire. And through that, police find surveillance video that actually shows Maxwell Anderson on a county bus. Prosecutors say he's on his way home. Prosecutors haven't formally named any kind of murder weapon or really even said how Sade was killed.
It appears that the defense needed more time to look at some of the digital evidence. That's not uncommon.
Maxwell Anderson's trial was pushed back to May 2025.
We have not gotten any type of closure and no type of peace.
We really don't know how this trial will go.
As of May 1st, Maxwell Anderson was in custody awaiting trial on charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson of property other than a building. He has pleaded not guilty.
May 10th is Sade's birthday.
I'm just having memories in my head now, remembering her full head of hair, just so beautiful, and her bright eyes.
There was a community gathering where everyone tried to remember Sade for who she was outside of the brutal facts of this case.
When we leave here today, I want everyone to carry on Sade's light in you and treat everyone the way that she treated all of us.
My baby had just started her life. She had so much ahead of her.
She went out of her way to lend a hand, to help someone else, to make someone feel welcome, and strangers have been inspired to do the same for Sade's family during this terrible time.
I want to make sure the community knows that we are so thankful and honored for their gestures and their support.
Milwaukee Area Technical College posthumously gave Sade her degree. Her younger sister, Adriana, got to walk for her at graduation and accept the degree.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm trying to go one episode without crying every time I do these. Wow, that was just a really powerful moment to have her sister walk across the stage for her. That is amazing, actually.
It was so honorable. It was very important for us to follow through. My baby, she worked so hard to get to that point to receive that degree.
Sade's story has inspired people around the city to make art about her. There's a beautiful mural of Sade just outside Pizza Shuttle where she worked.
She was such a magnificent light. We will never be the same without our beautiful Sade. But her spirit is with me daily. She will live through us every single day.
Wow. Incredible. Yo, there you have it. I don't have much to say other than that ending. Woo, that was tough. Just thank you guys for everything. Always know my comments are open for any recommendations on what to watch next or what games to play. Anyways, be blessed, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a blessed day. Love y'all. Mwah.